So this is Steve and Mandy's journey. We're into episode 4. Just to give you some idea about where we are, we're in the southeast of Spain, the Costa Clida, the Murcia region, just outside the lovely town of Mazarron, Camposol. Huge urbanisation. Now Steve came out July, is that right, Steve?
July the 6th.
Yeah, July the 6th, and then Mandy came out a couple of weeks after, and they've been looking at property by end of August, we'd say.
I think we started looking at the end of August, and we found something within a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So we've gone through the process of over those weeks where Steve and Mandy got their NIE, they set up a Spanish bank account, obviously removal, bringing their stuff over from the UK, we chatted about, we just said about the NIE. So in this one, I'm just going to go a question first. This is from a person called Tom and Jerry, but his real name is called Andrew apparently. And Andrew is asking, can I ask if they are not claiming their pensions, which obviously they're not because they're young people, they're not of pension age yet, how do they fund to live out here in Spain? Money to live on, and how do they get it?
Right, I get a very small pension from BT, so I get that paid into my UK account every month, and I transfer that into my Spanish account, and then we just live off our savings. We've got savings that we're living off.
So that's it, because they're not working, they've come out here to enjoy life and retire early. So that's the question. So if you've got any questions, guys, please ask below the video, and on our next journey we're Ask Mandy and Steve. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the Padron, because they've sorted out the Padron. So I'm going to let Mandy and Steve explain about how they got their Padron, where they went, and also the cost of it.
Right, yeah, we was told that we probably might need an interpreter to organise our Padron for us, but we thought we'd try and give it a go ourselves first. So there's lots of information about where to go, and there's lots of conflicting information as well. So we heard that you could go to there's a new place because of the COVID, there's a place, the indoor market in the port, that you can go to and get your Padron. So we went down there on the Monday, we took our paperwork, we took our passports, our NIE, our rental contract. I think that was it. So we went down there, queued up, said, oh, you have to make an appointment. So, but he said, but he asked to see our paperwork. We showed him what paperwork we had, but apparently we didn't have the correct paperwork, so he couldn't do it. So he said us to go away, get what we had to get, and then ring to make an appointment. So off we went, and then in the Monday afternoon we got all the paperwork that we needed, and we thought, well, we can ring and make an appointment.
It was on the Tuesday.
On the Tuesday, so we ran up on the Tuesday morning to get an appointment, because he said we had to make an appointment. So it was for a week's time. We was quite keen to get the Padron because we wanted to do the residency. So it was like, get the Padron as soon as we can. So we thought, what we'll do, we'll chance our arm again and go back down there and see if we'll do it there and then. So we went back down to the indoor market, and he wasn't busy at all. I think there might have been one lady who was just being seen to while he was there, and there was no one else there. So it was the same guy. So I went up to him and I said about Padron, and he said, have you got an appointment? I went, no. I said, will you do this now? And he said, okay. So he looked, we had the right paperwork. So we stood there for about 15 minutes.
Not very
while
long.
he did, I mean, obviously he didn't speak to us, we didn't speak to him. We just stood there and they did all the paperwork.
Yeah.
It cost €2 each for
Yeah.
the Padron. He'd done everything, gave us the Padron, and that was it. So, but I think if you do go to the indoor market in the port, it is a little bit hit and miss. If they're busy, they won't do it there and then. You have to make an appointment. But if they're not busy and they feel like it, they will do it there and then for you. So again,
the other thing I think as well is that although it's in the port at the moment, in the marketplace, I think it might only be there whilst the COVID's going on. So if you're watching this video with the COVID's, hopefully the COVID's over, then they might be back at the town hall, because it's normally at the town hall. So if you're watching this a bit later on, just make sure. Things are going back to normal, as they say, the new normal. Make sure that you go to the right place, because it might not be in the marketplace anymore.
I mean, one of the things about the Padron, especially this time of year, obviously because it came up with Brexit, there was a lot of stuff on Facebook saying you've got to have an appointment. Well, these guys, they thought, no, we're going down there. They didn't use a translator, so they were very brave. They went straight in. They didn't have no problems, did you? Really?
No, not whatsoever.
No.
The guy did speak a little English.
Yeah.
He was really helpful, but that could change. You could go down and there could be a little bit awkward. It's literally, it's hit and miss. It really is. You've got chance your arm.
Really.
And if they don't speak Spanish and you're having difficulties, you might have to take a translator with you.
Yeah. And I think, as Sean has said to us in the past, that we're quite lucky in this region where, you know, a lot of the Spanish do speak English, and although it might be broken English, it's enough to get you, you know, let them know what you want, sort of thing. So yeah, we're quite lucky in that way.
So while we're making this video, today is the 12th of November, so we're cutting it quite fine now with the Brexit coming up. Now these guys have been sorting out their residency with paperwork. I'm going to let them talk about them sorting out the residency.
Yeah, I'll let you talk about it, 'cause you're the one who did it all.
Okay,
You know more than I do.
So we contacted the same lady that helped us with our NIEs, and that's a lady called Fiona Harvey, and she was really helpful. So I contacted her about the residency. She gave me a list of documents that I needed to apply for the residency, and the Padron was one of them. So that's why I wanted to get the Padron done as soon as possible. So the paperwork we needed was statements from our UK account for the last 6 months, statements from our Spanish account for the last 6 months, and we haven't had the Spanish account for 6 months. We've only had it for 3, but that was okay. We had to have obviously proof of our savings, what we can live off, make sure we've got health insurance in place, which we have, and you have to have health insurance in place for a year. So they'd like you to have paid up front for it for a year, so you can prove that you're not going to cost the Spanish any money health-wise. So that was in place. We had to have our NIEs, we had to have our Padrons, we had to provide a copy of our passport, and not just the photo page, we had to copy every single page of our passport, because they want to see every page. I'm not really sure why, but like the 31 pages in a passport we had to copy. So all the paperwork was given to Fiona, so she collated all the information. The cost of that was €200 each for her to do all the paperwork, all the visits. It takes 3, in normal times it would take 3 visits. Because of COVID and what's going on, you can actually apply online, and the only time you need to go is to finalise your residency, and you have to have your fingerprint, and that's the only time we would have to go in person. Obviously, so we've paid €200 per person. That could change. People charge different prices, different people that help you, translators, people that do paperwork, they could charge you more, they could charge you less. We went with Fiona because she did our NIEs for us, and that could change after Brexit. Paperwork, then you might need different paperwork after Brexit, we don't know, but all our paperwork's gone in. Fiona's informed us that it could take up to 8 weeks for that to be finalised, so we're looking hopefully beginning of Jan.
Also, I'd like to mention that although Mandy said about the healthcare insurance, you also have to make sure that it covers residency, because some healthcare insurance doesn't. So when you apply for your healthcare insurance, make sure it does cover for you to get. It covers you to get your residency.
I mean, the other thing is here, guys, you've got to remember going for the residency here in Murcia will be totally different if you was going down to the south of Spain, the north of Spain. Each region handles it slightly different. So this is just a guide to put you through, guys. And the other thing is that they said if you can't get it done by the end of this year, you've got this waiting period up until July, wasn't it?
Yeah, what it is, you've got to make sure your paperwork is in before the 31st of December. And then it's the process that they're allowing it to be until June. I'm not sure, it must be the end of June, I would have thought. So as long as the process is complete by the end of June, then everything's fine. But your paperwork has got to be in before the 31st of December.
So hopefully we covered all that. The next thing is, now Steve and Mandy moved in, we think, because time goes so fast here. So over 3 or 4 weeks ago now, they moved in. Steve and Mandy have been unpacking boxes and painting this and painting that. Obviously sorting out some stuff outside the swimming pool. I think the pump broke down or something on it and that had to be replaced.
Yeah.
So I'll let you guys talk about that.
Yeah, some teething problems we got here. The pump needed maintenance. I thought I'd turn it on to clean the pool out, and there was just a humming noise coming from the motor. I got a pool guy around. He said it needed a new motor, so I had to get the motor replaced. So everything's in that respect working now. Because of the situation, because of the like moving here that we did, the lady passed away before we finalised the contracts. We didn't know how to use the heating, so stupid things like that. So we got the local heating guys around to show us how to use the heating, how to use the boiler. It's all run from oil based, so you have to get the oil man round to fill your oil tank up, which we did. So we bought 600 litres of oil. I think it was about €350, which should last us throughout the winter. As far as Sean says, should that last you that long?
Don't ask me, I don't know. You've got a bigger house than me.
Oh, bloody hell.
Well, hopefully it'll last us a little while anyway.
Yeah, it should last us a little while.
I mean,
so.
we have been lucky. I mean, we're in sort of into November now, and I think we've only been putting the heating on in the evening just to take the chill off. But
Yeah, that's what we've
that's
what
we've
we've
been
done
doing.
at the moment.
Well, at the moment it's still 21 degrees,
So it's still very warm.
yeah,
So yeah.
No.
In fact, I've tidied up the garden, but Jan, which is Jan Matthews, which is Sean's other half, has very kindly come in and helped us with the garden. So there's still lots of things to do. Still sort of finished unpacking boxes and decorating and furniture.
And I've also bought Sean a paintbrush because he said he was going to help me paint. And I've done most of the painting now, but as you can see, it's still new in the packet. So Sean,
we'll see that on episode 10.
Yeah, but we're getting there. We've put sort of furniture together and put furniture up. So slowly but surely we're getting there.
Yeah.
The other thing that the guys were talking about was their car. Now, when they were first there, I said to him, it's probably better to get rid of your car. And Steve and Mandy were to go back to the UK and sell the car and then buy a Spanish car. But since then, things have changed. You're not doing that now, are you?
No, we were planning on going back just before Christmas and spending time with the family over Christmas and maybe the New Year. But because of what's going on with COVID, obviously the UK at the moment is in lockdown, and Spain is in some sort of lockdown. Although it's not in a full lockdown, Spain, we can travel within our local area. But as British citizens holding British passports, we are allowed to go back at any time. Even if there's a lockdown, we can still go back to the UK. But the problem being is because we're not residents yet, there's no guarantee we can get back. So until we get our residency, we can't actually, take the chance of actually going back to the UK and getting back here. So what we've decided to do is Mandy has looked into getting the car registered into Spanish plates, and it doesn't seem to be as expensive as we thought it was going to be. I think it's going to be around about €1,000. But that's something we've still got to look a bit further into it. So that's not the final, but that's just the ballpark figure we've had at the moment. And I think one of the biggest costs is probably the tax. You have to pay an import tax, and we have to get the headlights changed as well. So I think they're the biggest costs on it. But it's something I've got to look into a little bit more.
Yeah, the other thing is, here at the moment, Spain, every couple of days the rules are changing, and the latest rule that's coming up now, and it sounds like all European countries will be doing it from the 23rd of November, is that if anybody that's coming to Spain or any other countries is going to have a test done before they come.
Yeah, 72 hours before you fly or you come into Spain, you have to have a negative COVID test.
I think that's another reason why Steve and Mandy are just, waiting now really until next year, until this COVID thing's got out of the way. The other thing we didn't really talk about is the post box. Now, some people are quite lucky. As you drive around Camposol, you will see the sign Boson. I think it's called Boson. It means letterbox. Now, usually, most places, not just Camposol, golf resorts, they have their own private letterboxes. Some are in the streets, some are in porta cabins. Now, where they're living on Los Palacios, we got our own porta cabin, and it's locked up at night. And during the daytime, it's open. We can access and go in there. Usually, the post office lady will drop off any small packages. Anything bigger, they drop off a note. But on the other different sectors, on B, C, and D, they have to pay for their letterbox. So there's something else you've got to have to think about, guys. If you're thinking about coming to Spain, another possible cost. Now, thankfully, we're Steve and Mandy. They haven't got to pay for their box, but I'll let them explain. Was it easy finding your box?
It was easy, I must admit. When we first got the property, we had the multitude of keys. Didn't know what key was what. I'm going to put this brush down. We didn't know what was what, and we had one little key, and I thought, oh, perhaps that's the key for the post box. Went round there and found it. But before we actually did all this, I was talking to Sean, and Sean's wife Jan was there, and we was discussing how we're going to find it, because the post boxes they're just a number. They're not related to the actual property. So well, there's hundreds of post boxes. How are we going to find which one is ours? We can't put our key in every one. And Jan said, it's got your address on it. So Sean went, no it ain't, it's just got a number. So anyway,
so we did our vision to go to the post room and try
every box. But fortunately, Sean was wrong. Sean was wrong, and Jan was right. They had the addresses on it. Fortunately, otherwise we would have been there all week, I think, trying them out, and probably been arrested in the process. So yeah, the post boxes do have the addresses
with all that. With the post box, I mean, the post office does come round to your house personally, especially if you've got an official letter, but usually they will try and deliver it, and all they ask usually is for your NIE or your residency card when you got one, and also you get Amazon, DHL, UPS. You can put it on your address and they will come to your house, and some of the companies there will text you and you can track your package. Not always the most reliable. Some of these parcel companies, as Mandy's found out, is they're going to be here tomorrow.
Yeah, it does get a bit confusing sometimes.
Yeah, we've had a couple of deliveries, and they say they're going to be here on a certain date, and then
they don't turn up.
And then at the end of the day they go, oh, sorry about the late delivery, it's going to be tomorrow. So, but I've had that, and it's been 2 or 3 days after that the deliveries come. But
you I think that's eventually.
Yeah, you get them eventually. It's just one of those things, I think.
So that's it for now, guys. Steve and Mandy, episode 4 is over with. Now in the next episode 5, we're going to go inside. We're going to see what these two have been up to, what sort of decorating, showing us any little problems they've come up against. I don't think they've come up against any problems, but maybe they don't know how to open the blinds, I don't know. But that's going to be in the next episode. So hope you enjoyed it, guys. As we all say, got to keep watching. I've got to thank Steve and Mandy ever so much for giving us the information, because it's not easy for people who want to come out to Spain. So, adios amigos.
Adios.
Hasta luego.